and congratulations. You've been called back by the company that you gave the full presentation to for a second visit. And today we're going to hear from you on two presentations. One will be a 10-minute presentation, and then the second will be a 90-second presentation. And let me just give you a few notes around what we're looking for in the 10-minute presentation, and then we'll pause after you're completed the 10-minute presentation and go over some notes for the 90-second presentation. So again, it's congratulations again for your fine job in the full presentation. You're here again for a second visit, and we want to ask that you speak only about the ethical aspect of the problem and to explain why your solution successfully handles any ethical issues. You'll have exactly 10 minutes. There'll be no Q&A, no questions and answer period during this session. And you may not use slides or video. And you probably don't really want to have more than 2 or 3 members do this during this period of 10 minutes. So with that, I am looking at my clock. I got 9:32 here. So I'll start the timer for 10 minutes. And if there are no questions, are we ready to begin? Okay, we'll start.
Good morning, ExxonMobil Board of Directors. Our team at RDS Consulting is excited to be here today to present to you more about the ethical importance of our sustainable investment recommendations. According to a recent article shared by the BBC, if policies are not implemented to reduce carbon emissions now, then by 2100 there will be expected global warming of up to 40 degrees Fahrenheit. But climate change is not just a scientific phenomenon. Climate change is a social and economic issue. Unless actions are taken to reduce global warming, greater temperatures will cause forced relocation of entire towns, spark the faster spread of disease, and reduce our capacity to work. It will also bring dire economic consequences. Shrinking productivity of harvests and reduced freshwater supply will cause wars over resource access, and adapting coastal regions to rising sea levels will result in high costs. Furthermore, the rising frequency of extreme meteorological phenomena will cause poverty, as entire regions of our world are devastated, one after the other. This said, you, ExxonMobil, as one of the world's largest energy providers and chemical manufacturers, bear a particular ethical responsibility to address climate change in your own operations. Energy production and its products in their current forms of petroleum and natural gas are inherently harmful to the environment. Even when properly produced, they have the effect of releasing high levels of carbon emissions into the atmosphere, which contribute to global warming exponentially. And when energy production goes wrong, the environmental consequences are even more dire. Oil spills can have effects on human communities, wildlife, and land for decades to come. Take, for instance, your 1989 Valdez oil spill. 30 years later, local populations of killer whales and seabirds in the Prince William Sound have still not yet recovered. Thus, the ethical responsibility lies on you to make sure that your operations provide a net benefit, not harm, to the society that you serve. The welfare of future generations is at stake. Now I'll pass it on to Grace.
Thank you, Tatum, for sharing why climate change is an ethical concern for ExxonMobil. We are speaking in front of you today because we want to provide insights that will help your company continue its long history of being innovative and thoughtful leaders. We understand that asking your company to invest in renewable energy and sustainable technologies is a daunting and uncertain feat. With any new investment, there poses various risks and uncertainties. This undertaking is no simple task. It will require financial investment and a reimagining of your company's operations. However, your company is no stranger to taking risks. ExxonMobil has established itself as a household name because of its willingness to take risks, even when you believe it is ethical to do so. We are offering our solution today because we believe in the mission of your company and want to aid in its continued growth and progress. Your company took the risk of investing in carbon capture and storage 30 years ago because you believed it was the right and ethical thing to do. When no other company invested in this technology, you stepped up. Consequently, your company was the first to capture more than 120 million tons of CO2, which is equivalent to the annual emissions of about 25 million cars. Let your moral compass guide you through future decisions regarding your further investment in renewable energy and additional emission-reducing technologies. The events with the biggest positive impacts are the ones that are the riskiest. Something we believe to be analogous to this situation is one where direct connection is not immediately apparent. Similar to creating a more green, environmentally friendly world, creating a society in which women could vote required overcoming initial uncertainties. While fighting for the 19th Amendment, suffragettes were met with the criticism that women getting the right to vote would lead to disruption of political parties and a radical transformation of societal norms. As with our solution, there's the uncertainty of job loss, loss of market share, and deviation for what your company is known best for, its oil and gas production. However, we are confident that for your company to continue as a global leader in thought and confront the ethical concerns of its operations, it must consider environmentally sustainable alternatives. In addition to considering the implications of this solution, we must also consider the incredible good that can come from this. We sincerely believe that change can be good in this situation. To progress into tomorrow, we must imagine the world in which this is a reality and the one we want to leave for our children and grandchildren. After all, they are the generations that will tackle the mounting harmful effects of climate change and rising emissions. As a notable civil rights leader once said, I am no longer accepting the things I cannot change. I am changing the things I cannot accept. Simply because a solution poses its risks and deviates from what your company has been successful at does not mean that we shouldn't try. We must begin our efforts to transform the world one step at a time to a more green world. And now I'll pass it on to my colleague, Chase.
Thank you, Grace. Now, I want to further underline the fact that even though there may be uncertainty in our plan, it is still ethically superior to the status quo. With the way the current situation is headed, there will be a conflict of rights. As we see today, climate change is going to serve as a threat multiplier to a variety of domestic and international issues. Take, for example, the small island nation of Tuvalu and its capital island, Funafeti. As a result of climate change, their homes are sinking into the Pacific Ocean as sea levels rise. Now, imagine you're a farmer whose crop yield is diminishing due to the changing weather conditions. Both of these individuals will suffer from climate change, which is a global issue that is partly perpetuated by the fossil fuel industry. Now, as much as ExxonMobil has the right to operate in a free market, these individuals and others have the ethical right to enjoy a prosperous life. Luckily, our sustainability plan achieves both. By shifting to renewable energy as well as investing in sustainable technology, ExxonMobil can position itself as a leader amongst its competitors while reducing the impact of climate change on Earth's most vulnerable people. We are aware about concerns over job loss as a result of the shift to renewable energy. However, our solution takes this risk into account. First, our flexible renewable energy adoption plan allows for a gradual transition. This slow transition will ensure that people are not suddenly laid off overnight. They will also find new jobs as a result of the creation of new, clean, renewable infrastructure. ExxonMobil will create hundreds of thousands of jobs in new, clean energy. In addition, these new jobs will be far safer as they reduce workers' exposure to the many toxic air pollutants that they would encounter working in fossil fuels. Furthermore, the investment in emerging sustainable technology would energize an already rapidly growing industry and therefore add even more jobs to the economy. As a whole, ExxonMobil has the guiding principle of protect tomorrow today. In order to ensure the long-term success for the company and our environment, ExxonMobil is ethically obligated to adopt our plan. It goes beyond balance sheets and sales growth. The future generations' livelihoods are at stake. Thank you very much.